Wait, I just thought of this question, and it's a
Tell
little
us.
blunt.
Okay.
But do you think people who host are just secretly lonely? Like,
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the TTYL podcast. I am your co-host, Sarah, and today we do not have Adrian because he is not one of the girlies, contrary to popular belief. Just kidding. But today we have Rebecca and Sharon as our guests because we're going to talk all about the art of hosting in our 20s. My fave, hosting girly pops. But before we jump into the episode, if you guys want to introduce yourselves real quick.
I'm Rebecca. I feel like this is my fifth time on the pod, but here we are.
She's a frequent flyer.
I am a frequent flyer, but I think I started my hosting journey low-key when Sarah moved because she was a fellow host enthusiast, and I was like, oh, okay. So I feel like I think we did a couple of hosts parties slash events, but yeah, been in the city for 2.5 years almost, so I feel like I'm not leaving anytime soon.
Well, I'm new here, hee. So I'm Sharon. I grew up in Nashville, Tennessee, and then I went to the same college as Sarah. I actually never met and on campus, but
we were Insta friends.
Yes, Insta friends. And then when I moved here, I recall sliding in the DMs.
And I'm so glad you did.
So we're here, and then met Rebecca obviously through Sarah.
And how has your hosting experience been?
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely changed and evolved, the meaning of it over the, most recent years. But I think really introduced to the idea of it in college, probably.
Nice. Started early.
Yeah.
I think for myself, it started... Wait, low-key, I was thinking back, and I'm like, even in high school, sometimes... I mean, obviously, it wasn't as extravagant, but just having people over, and then I think even then I still was attuned to get water for people, get what food do we need, what do we need blankets because it's cold in the basement, is everyone taken care of, that kind of stuff, or what activities do we have available at our disposal.
That's low-key giving provider.
Yeah.
Dang, she a provider.
Wait, same too. I think when you think about even hosting birthday parties or it's Sweet 16 or whether it was large scale or not. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so interesting. I feel like growing up, my parents never pointed out that was something that they saw in me that I liked, but it's only in hindsight that I was like, wait, I had those tendencies younger. So I feel like when I have kids, I'll be I don't know, attuned to see.
Yeah.
Did your parents host a lot?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
My dad is a hoster, celebrate. He loves to party and he loves to gather and just do things. So I definitely got it from him.
That's actually really interesting because my parents were the opposite. They did not like to host at all, and they were kind of shut their doors off to the entire community, which honestly, I get it. Your house is kind of your private space where you can kind of relax and on. Hosting does take a lot of energy, but I think that's why I like hosting, because I never had that environment growing up, and I wanted to make my future home or my current home a really comfortable place for everyone. So
that is interesting.
Yeah, really interesting. For me, my parents hosted a bunch of dinner parties, and so definitely exposed to kind of the food, to community, bringing our close friends together. But I'd say my dad, he loves to cook, so he's super social. But my mom, also social, but she probably is a little more stressed out during these hostings. And so it was definitely a mix, but kind of got to see both the good and the things that could go bad. But
that's so interesting. I was gonna say something super dumb, but
it's a safe space.
Yeah, safe space. Come on.
I'm you're either like your parents or the opposite because you didn't. Not that you didn't like it, but it's you missed something.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But I'm well, you have to be in one of those two categories. You're either like them or you're not.
Yeah, true. No, but it's interesting how we all we grew up in such different environments, but we all came together with the same common interest of hosting.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Okay, so that brings me to the first question. What does hosting mean to you? Why do you like hosting?
That's a good one. I feel for me, it's I mean, I think we kind of touched on the points of community and bringing people together, and I like having people in one place and like being happy and socializing and all that, because like again, like growing up my house was pretty quiet as an only child, and then like coming in, it's like, oh, like you have these events where like people are laughing and having a good time, and it's like an environment that I really like to be in, which is why I think I like hosting.
I love that. I think for me, just like from like the start of even like hosting journey, I feel like I just hosted things just to do it, like in like, I guess for like an occasion or whatever. It's like, oh, like say, like I mentioned, like Sweet 16. Okay, it's like because it's my Sweet 16, I'm just gonna like, you know, bring people together, like whatever. It was very, just like not that much thought, I guess. But then, yeah, over the years, I feel like it's definitely been more intentional. Of course, you're like thinking about like your guests and creating like a really nice experience for them. So putting yourself in their shoes. And then I also think it's a lot like for myself too, I feel like I realized just kind of tapping into my right brain in a sense, and it's like a good way to like creatively, I think, express yourself too.
Yeah.
Oh, have you guys ever hosted something where there was like no event or like no like reason to?
Oh.
I don't think I have, now that I think about it.
Maybe like casual hang. I don't know if we've done
Yeah.
like board game nights or
Oh,
something like
I guess
that.
that
Would
counts.
that count?
Yeah.
I guess, are you saying like, for example, if it's just like you just want to like decorate cake box, or what are they called? Box cakes?
Oh,
So-
bento box cakes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Are you saying like, for example, if it's like there's no like, it's not a Galentine's,
Yeah.
it's not like whatever like holiday, but you just want to do it, so you just like create an event to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think most of my events are holiday based or some
Yeah.
kind of celebration
Yeah,
based.
yeah.
But I think that makes it easier because there's like already a theme that you can go off of.
That's true.
And I think there's clearly enough ideas to like do random stuff
Yeah.
too. But like honestly, I feel like the cadence of hosting is like once a month is almost too much.
Dude, I was thinking about it. Like, I would love to do like a once a month like dinner party or whatnot, but it's just like a lot, because a lot of planning goes into that. And so like once you're
Yeah.
done with one, like you go right into the next one if
Yeah.
it tries to be once a month. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, it is a little different because we are post grad. Like, I guess we have like a slightly more budget, but I'm always balling on the budget, and so I'm like, wait, this is too much.
Oh,
and so,
yeah.
yeah, I agree that it like takes a lot of time.
Honestly, the past like 6 months, I think my life has been framed as like, when is the next time I'm hosting something? And that's just how I like milestone my next however many months.
You know what I was surprised about? You didn't host a Galentine's.
Oh,
Yeah, but I know
really?
that like coincided with your birthday.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's like
yeah.
really close.
I actually didn't host. I don't think I hosted a Galentine's last year either. I mean, we had like a cupcake night with our TG.
Yeah.
But that was kind of like the three of us,
Yeah.
just kind of gathering people.
Yeah.
But also, the other thing with hosting that's nice is that even if I want to do like a once a month thing, it's nice when like you have friends that like host too, so like they could do something that month, or like someone else could
That's
do
true.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like this year a lot of other people did Galentine's things, so it's
Yeah.
like that event is covered.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like- Do you guys like see a lot of like trends or things like online that you kind of like save in the back of your head and kind of just like act on it, or what's your
Totally,
kind of-
yeah. Are there specific ones that you guys have in mind?
For me, there's a creator I follow. I think her name is Isabella Hikens, or Isabel Hikens.
I know who you're
You
talking
know-
about.
yeah,
I know her.
yeah, she does like the monthly dinner parties that are like so like extravagantly planned and themed, and like her guests come like dressed in the theme, and it's like just like so beautiful. I think that is like my goal, to be like that like capable of like hosting something like that. And like dinner parties I feel like are next level, because like not only do you have to think about like the event and like the guests, you have to think about the food. Like the food is like the center. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We can like get into this later, but yeah, I like think of like food as like one of like the top things that I think about too. You're talking to a belly user.
Oh yeah, you're always on belly.
So I can't help it. But yeah, I also agree that I think that's definitely like next level, kind of like striving towards. But yeah, it definitely is
Yeah,
something.
I think first I need to like brush up on my cooking skills. Like I think I got the hosting part down, but the cooking skills is like next level. So yeah.
Wait, so for those dinner parties, is it like you as the host are cooking everything?
That's what she does.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure you can like cater or hire a private chef or make someone else cook. But yeah, she like actually like curates the menu, like cooks everything from
That's so
scratch.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I have seen this because I can picture the angle of the table, like
You-
in my head.
oh, like her
I didn't-
table?
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah,
Yeah,
wait.
I didn't realize didn't put the name to the
Image. Yeah.
Yeah. But I just want to take a second to shout out Sharon's Belly because she goes off on Belly and it's
God,
so
stop.
funny.
Like you add in your own memes, right?
Oh wait,
Yeah.
yeah. I guess second to Instagram, maybe even like first to Instagram. Yeah, it's an outlet. It's my meme like space. So,
It's so
yeah, I think
funny.
it's just like taking food not too seriously. I have like no credentials here, but just for fun.
A
Oh my
PhD in Belly in my book.
Yeah, thank you.
I straight up, I feel like I'm like peeking into like your diary. Like it's so
for real.
funny.
It's
I
so
love
raw.
it so much.
Yeah.
It's like unfiltered
So-
thoughts.
It is unfiltered.
But that's interesting that food is like your focal point when it comes to hosting for you guys. I think for me, it's decorations and vibe.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
big on
yeah.
the aesthetics. Yeah.
Because normally I don't do like substantial food. I just do like snacky food because I put more energy into the vibe.
Yeah, wait, no.
Yeah.
So
I think
yeah,
that
I think that's-
makes yeah, I mean it depends on the event. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
like
yeah.
food is like if it's like Thanksgiving or Christmas, I think food is more of like a emphasis and so that's when I would put more energy. But if it's like Galentine's, for example, I feel like food can be pretty simple. It's just the girlies, so yeah, nothing too serious.
Yeah.
And it's more about the vibes and love.
I think, yeah, I agree. I was going to say, that's so funny. Yeah, I was gonna say, I think for me, like why I prioritize food like rather high up. I mean, like probably quite similar to the level of like decor, but I see food as like decoration almost too. And so I think that also like help kind of contributes to vibe and I guess like budgeting too. It's like, yeah, you can kind of coordinate and see how much to input in decor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of budgeting, that was something that I had to wrap my mind around several different times when I first started hosting versus now. So basically now my mentality when it comes to budgeting is just like I'm going to front everything. You know, I'm hosting this, I'm inviting people over for this. Okay, for something like a birthday, that's like I'm just going to front everything for sure. I guess if it's something like, it's always a little tricky because it's always like when can you know, ask people to contribute something, whether that's like bringing an item. I think that's most of the time like what I'll go to if it's like I want some kind of not like compensation but like some kind of collective effort. Because a lot of times like people are down to do things and it shouldn't necessarily be on you if you're like more prone to hosting to like front everything all the time if it's like something that people want to do but it's just like you have the space for it or like you know you have the energy for it. So like when do you decide to like front things? Like how do you budget, how do you expense things versus like asking people for to comp like a little bit of money or like a cover or something like that?
I agree. I feel like potluck is like my go-to style of like asking people to like contribute at least something. I think like anything decor related or activity related, I feel like it's a good idea to front at least as a host just because like I feel like most of my half and half. Most of my friends, though, I feel like don't really care about the aesthetics. And so if it's something that I'm solely driven by, then I'm okay with fronting that cost, yeah.
I think for like decor, it's also like that's yours at the end of the day to keep too.
Right,
So it's not like
yeah.
they're taking. I don't know. There's
Yeah.
so many ways to think about this, and I'm
Yeah,
still like
yeah.
wrapping my head around it. But I'm just like at this
Yeah.
point, just front everything. Or like the lowest expectation is just I'm gonna front everything, and that's easiest.
Yeah.
But maybe there's a healthy balance too. I don't
Wait,
know.
yeah, exactly. I was gonna echo off. Yeah, I like would think of probably potlucks, or you see like those board like trend parties where like people are bringing stuff, you know. So yeah, that like comes to mind. But also, I feel like for myself, I've done a lot of like co-hosting. So it's like whether it's like a friend or a roommate, and I guess in terms of like decor, I think I would usually probably front them if I know I'm gonna like reuse them. So I'm pretty like I think strategic in what I invest in and like is it like worthwhile. So I'm like I think I'll be more willing to like cover. But yeah, I think it just like depends on like I guess how you split it or if you're like having your guests be involved in like you know kind of the process.
Yeah. No, co-hosting is like so key. I
Yeah.
feel like.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes off a lot of like the mental burden too.
Mhm.
And like when you're actually in the hosting space, like
Mhm.
oh my god, the whole thing about like playing host versus actually being present and enjoying
Oh,
the
yeah.
event.
Oh my gosh.
Where do you guys think you're at right now?
I low-key like activities, I
Uh-huh.
think. So, like, co-hosting or, like, hosting, like, and spearheading or leading these kinds of games and activities is, like, fun for me. So, I don't mind that. But I feel like if it's, like, let's say, like, 40-plus people and you have to make sure, like, everyone is, like, well-fed or, like, you have to be, like, behind the scenes in the kitchen, that's when I'm, like, I wish I could just enjoy this party, you know? Because, like, I've already done all the work, like, behind the scenes, like, leading up to the event, and you're telling me now that I can't actually enjoy my own party? Well, like, what's going on? So, yeah. But that's when I feel like a lot of people, or at least some of my friends, are like willing to help. They're always like, oh, like, do you need help like doing this or doing this? So yeah, I think in those moments when you like kind of like delegate tasks to like volunteers, that's when it can be helpful. Yeah, in that sense.
Totally.
Do you think you like more of a like structured kind of approach to hosting where you have like set things that you want to do and you kind of like guide your guests through it like throughout the night, or are you kind of just like a little more free for all, like things are here and like you kind of let your guests take the lead in what they want to do?
I don't think I've been in too many circumstances where I've had like set like activities for guests to do on their own. For me, it's been like, oh, I have a list of things I know I want to hit, and like we'll just see where the night takes us. And like if we can't hit this, it's okay. It's just about reading the vibes, I think.
Yeah, reading the vibes is so important.
Yeah.
I feel like it depends on like how big the group is. So if it's like a smaller intimate group, maybe like doing things as a group through the activities is and it depends on like what the activities are. Like if it's a game or something, then like you kind of need everyone. But if it's like more people, then it's definitely just like free, fluid, like do it at your own time. But yeah, I like having activities at things events host, because I mean like everyone does mingle in general, but then it's just good ways to break up your brain. Instead of like just yapping, then you can like do event and yap, or like not yap and just like focus on whatever it is.
Do you want to talk a little bit about your birthday? Because
Oh,
I feel like that
yeah.
was like the last big event thing that you
Thing.
hosted, and
Yeah.
you
Yes.
had some of those activities that you mentioned.
Yeah, so my birthday was hosted in this apartment. I had a couple different activities. This is like not how I thought about it going into it, but I think in hindsight and like maybe how I could categorize it going forward to like when I plan events is like making sure there's something for all the senses. So like
Oh, that's
music.
an interesting way.
I actually think like sometimes when I go places there's no music and I'm like
Where are they not playing music? I feel like
I don't
every event
know.
should need music.
I
yeah.
know. Some hosts don't play music, and
Oh, okay.
that's totally fine. But my ADHD brain is just like, I need something to like latch onto, like through the conversations. So that's like a huge thing. Sight, so like decorations, obviously, and then I guess I can go through. So like music. Specifically for the birthday that I hosted, that was kind of just random. Music like can totally set the vibe, but sometimes I like don't really know what vibe I'm going for, because I kind of toggle between like if you just play EDM and R&B, that's like one vibe, and then another one is like throwback pop songs or just like pop songs in general, and then that way people can like kind of sing along or they like know the songs more. I don't know.
I
It's
feel like
always a
I feel like
toss-up.
having just like a big mix, like a wide variety of music, like usually
That's true.
works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even like having people like contribute it too. I think
That's
it's,
true,
Like,
yeah,
much
yeah,
easier,
yeah.
I think too.
Yeah, join the jam. And then in terms of like site decorations, I had bows. I always do bows for my events.
Oh, but the bows are like so good. They
the
eat.
coquette. For this one, because it was a masquerade ball, I wanted to do like white roses and like baby's breath, pearls, and like wine glasses was something that I saw. And then like I had some of the masks, and then I saw a lot of cake pop action, which is why I wanted to make cake pops, and they actually turned out pretty good.
Wait, those are such a good idea.
So good. It's a quick grab,
Yeah.
like very cute.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I had Caleb help finish the rest of those, and then also just like shout out to Amy and Rebecca and Caleb and Adrian and Amy, like literally for helping so much, so much.
I mean,
Like,
you
thank
had the
so
vision. We
much.
just were the hands.
I mean,
really.
that's like 80% of it to actually make it come true. But Yeah, Amy and Reb sat there for so long, like tying bows for all the cake pops by hand. And they were so cute. And then, my original vision was to have balloons, like black balloons filling the ceiling. And then like gold streamers also coming down from the ceiling as well.
Oh my gosh.
But I was like, that is way too much. Like at first I was just gonna air blow it and then like sticker it onto the ceiling.
Each individual one.
Each individual one.
The whole.
I know, but then I was like, that is way too much effort, and like we can't even reach the ceiling. So, and the balloons kept falling off with tape. So I just scrapped that, and honestly I was a lot less stressed after I scrapped that. Okay, touch is like gifts or like party favors. So this year I did like matchboxes that I custom like designed on Canva, like a little design for the masquerade ball. And then this way I'm like, ooh, I want to do this every single year for my birthday specifically, because it's obviously a yearly thing, and it's like I can probably batch enough of it to like actually distribute. And that way every year it's like a different theme and stuff that's
my
like
gosh.
a little collectible.
Yeah.
At the
So
end
good.
of your life, I guess.
I'm excited.
Okay. But at the end of your life, you should just like have all of your like matchboxes in like that frame.
Oh my God,
and then hang it up,
yes.
I guess, for the year until you die.
Until I die. I can just start that now.
yeah, I would just
So
start it now.
funny.
Yeah.
That's so morbid but funny.
Yeah, wait, that's so like New York of you too. Like
Yeah,
the
the
matchbox.
But yeah, like that. And then the other activity that I did was DIY bag charm making. So that's also another like party favor kind of takeaway thing. And then what else is there? Taste. So like obviously food, drink,
Smell.
eyes, smell. Oh,
Oh,
yes.
what are we smelling? What are we smelling?
So smell is like maybe if it's a more intimate setting than like putting on a candle, but if it's too large and like kind of chaotic, don't want to risk a fire hazard. I will put a candle on in the bathroom sometimes, just because like it's such a nice touch and it's kind of refreshing. It's like when someone goes to the bathroom, they just have their own little oasis with a little candle. I learned that from Whitney when she lived at Purdue. I would just go to her bathroom and it was just like a casual, like I was just over for like random
Oh,
purposes.
and it was lit?
Yeah, and it was
Oh,
just lit, and I was like,
wow.
it smells so good, and it's so nice. It's just like a little flickering thing in the darkness,
okay.
and yeah, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that when I host, so that way people have an experience in the bathroom.
Thanks. That's a nice touch.
Yeah. The last activity that I want to touch on is the concept of like all of us wanting a sense of community, and like it's really nice bringing different people from our lives together, because like obviously we're friends with them for a reason, so it's cool if like they are friends too, or like at least get to know each other. And one of the other activities I did was I had a poster of New York on the wall, and then people wrote like one of their favorite places or things or coffee or whatever, and then they added their name, and that way they like taped it and taped a string to where it was in the city, so that the idea was like people can like meet people and then like go to these places together, or just like check out new places in general, as like to foster a sense of community.
I love that.
Yeah.
That was really
That was
thoughtful.
really
like, yeah,
fun,
it was so fun.
Yeah, and there were some good like places that I haven't heard of too.
Did you
that I
add it
was,
to your
like-
list?
Not yet, but mental list.
Oh, okay.
Mental
Mental list.
but definitely took a pic of it. Yeah.
Wait, that's interesting. Is the concept of like the five senses being like fulfilled, is that like a new concept or like something you've heard of? Because I've never heard of that, like achieving those five senses through like
through
hosting.
hosting.
Yeah, or a party.
It might be a thing out there, but I think when I was reflecting on this episode, it just like came to my senses. I don't know. I was thinking about like the different aspects of hosting, and then I was like, oh wait, this is kind of like touching on all five senses.
Interesting.
Yeah, I love it's like your take on like hosting though, because sensory marketing is so big actually, like in marketing right now. So everything you're seeing on social, like the ads you're seeing, the campaigns, it's all touching on the five senses, and it makes like total
Oh my
sense in this
god,
context.
that's so crazy.
Yeah,
She's a
you-
marketer.
She's a marketer.
Yeah, so I think that's really cool that you have that.
Oh, nice.
Oh, it's cool.
Cool.
Awesome.
So when you guys like start thinking of hosting something, how do you start? Like, what is your beginning?
Yeah, I think for me, obviously chronically online. So there are like things I see, like little things, whether it's like aesthetic wise, decor, food, just little things that I think like visually is like super appealing to me and something that I want to like bring to life. So I like kind of get all these little pieces together to try to create like a one like vision aesthetic kind of board, and I think that's like how I start. Yeah, just from seeing little like trendy things. Or
And then do you like tie it to like a certain holiday, or how do you bring it to the next step.
Yeah, I'm also kind of like you mentioned before, thinking of like whether it's like events or just like moments of like life celebrations or whatever. Yeah, I like think of that and kind of like make sure to tie that in when I'm like planning.
I think for me, I think of the guest list first.
Oh,
Because I think like the guest list is so important. If you're inviting like, let's say 100 people, obviously you're like hosting, or your approach to hosting is going to be very different than if you're inviting like 10 friends over. So I think of like the guest list and like why, like the meaning behind the event, and then I go from there. I think like I tend to put more effort into like decorating or whatever if it's like a smaller crowd. But I think that makes sense too.
Oh. Okay, wait, no, yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah.
I rescind my earlier statement. Now that I think about it, yeah, I think that's like a little bit more like exactly like my approach too.
Yeah.
People first.
Yeah.
So, how do you like figure out who makes the guest list?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I feel like we run into this issue a lot,
Yeah.
especially living in a big city where, I mean, all of us probably have like different circles, and it's, yeah, and we have limited space and capacity. So it's always hard, like, trying to figure out like who to invite and who like maybe doesn't get the invite. But thinking about like your inner circle and who you want to be part of the event, and then like thinking of like the outer circle and who would mesh well with that inner circle that you like have to invite. I guess it's like first degree and second degree people.
Yeah.
It's giving LinkedIn like
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh gosh.
Random
3+
random
connection.
thought. Random thought. Yeah, I also like aside from just vibes and like how I think everyone would like harmoniously like like mesh together, I think from like separate circles, I sometimes like think about like, oh, like my friend from like this circle I think would really get along with like this person, or I think they should meet. And I think it kind of like starts from there where I'm like, oh, I also want to think about their like expansion of like expanding their circle. And so yeah, a lot of like thought into like their POV, I think, is how.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, have you guys ever invited people that like you weren't necessarily close with, but you invited just to make other people feel comfortable, if that makes sense?
Or like kind of out of obligation.
Out of
almost.
obligation, yeah.
See, this is the spicy
Yeah, we're like, all right, raise your hand on the count of 3.
Yeah. Part of it is like social engineering.
Oh,
Like,
you have a degree in this.
but you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's hard.
like you're socially aware enough to understand that it might be weird if you don't invite someone, even if you're not that close to them, just to maintain the homeostasis of a certain friend group. Or like sometimes it's like it's not a big deal to just invite someone, but when it comes to like events that are maybe more smaller or intimate, that's where it's like maybe there does have to be some kind of boundary. Or if it really is a case where like it's so intimate that like it would feel weird if you did invite people are kind of feel like an obligation, or just because like other people are closer to them, then maybe like it's just something that I would just want to keep small, like really small in general, or like really tight.
I've chosen not to invite someone because I know if I had to invite them, then I would have to invite like other people, and I didn't want those people to be invited.
Yeah.
So I think it's easier for me to just not invite.
Yeah.
Whole lineage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So-
Cutting at like the
Yep.
root of it.
Yeah.
I think more so like when I think about it, I invited people who I might have thought necessarily wouldn't like fit in like super well, but I just kind of wanted to like like extend the invite or whatever. And so I think I've dealt with a lot of trying to be like the middleman essentially, and having them kind of like ease into like the dynamic of like whatever like other friend group or just like group of people that I've invited. And so yeah, I was wondering if like you've ever had to kind of be like that person to make sure this you're taking care of this other person. I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We're getting into real deep territory. But I think for me personally, I hate like having to be the middleman. And I think I tend to invite people, like if I am inviting someone who like maybe doesn't like spend that much time with like the other guests, that person is someone that I know can handle themselves on their own, like in that like sort of setting with unfamiliar people. Like they're like socially like adept and all that. But if it's someone who's like a bit more like reserved or shy. I would rather them like get introduced to the other people in like another way, like maybe like one-on-ones or like a more like intimate setting, not like a party where I maybe, for lack of a better term, have to like guide them around.
Yeah.
But,
Babysit. Just
yeah,
kidding.
I'm cutting that out. Mother.
Yeah, right.
Mommy.
I think for me, like just one example, I've like brought in like a friend who like necessarily wasn't super like tight with like this group that I brought, and so yeah, I think I've learned kind of like a good approach to like how to navigate through like these types of situations. I do a lot of like, first it's like engaging like individually, and then I always kind of look out for like one of the more social people of the group, and then kind of like pair them.
Oh my gosh, that's
And
so
then-
strategic.
I know. Yeah, it's very strategy. And then I think that's when like having activities planned like for these like events is like, I think also super important, just because like then you can shift energy, kind
Yeah.
of reset energy.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
that
yeah,
way.
totally.
So it's not always on you.
Yeah.
to, like, yeah.
I will say you're really good about taking care of people in those settings. Yeah. And like, I will say I'm not the best. Like, I will literally forget to introduce my friends when I like see both of them. And then like halfway through, I'm like, they're like introducing each other. I'm like, oh shoot, yeah, I forgot to introduce
Yeah.
them.
No, valid, because you're the host. Like, there's a lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
there's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah.
But like, I think I also realized like at my birthday party last year, that was kind of when that was my first time hosting a little bit more of, well, that was my first time hosting something that was like all of my people to begin with. So that was very difficult to navigate, like connecting people and making sure that people had people that they could hang out with and like vibe with. And I also like, as the host too, like you're getting pulled in so many different directions. So I felt so bad because I would like be with one person and then suddenly like just go randomly in the middle of a conversation to do something else or like to like take care of something.
It's so overstimulating
Yeah.
when you're
That's
the
a
host
lot.
of like something
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
like everyone knows you and like everyone like needs your attention at like one point or
Yeah,
the other. You're
yeah,
just like
yeah.
being pulled in like all different directions.
Exactly. Yeah.
Switching. It's on
The
my
code
resume.
switching.
Yeah. It's actually crazy.
But where I was going with this, but yeah, you're really good at like being intentional. And something that we had talked about like after my birthday party, I was like kind of reflecting with you on it, and you were bringing up the concept of like enjoying like when you invite people to an event, like trying to think about who they would connect well with, or like, you know, what hobbies or interests or like whatever thing like they should talk to and meet. And I think that level of hosting is something that is my like next step, because I think like going into my birthday party, I kind of try to think about that. I was like, okay, who's coming that like I really want so and so to meet, but I just like couldn't think of it, not just because of time, but I think also just genuinely because of like effort, or like my brain doesn't really think about that quite yet, like naturally. But I think that's a really next level like intentional thing that a host can do, is like when people come over, be like, even just telling them like, oh my god, I can't wait for you to meet so and so tonight, or something like that. And then that way they have an agenda too, or like they have a challenge in a way of like finding that person. And like,
Yeah, I think that's hard if, like, as a guest, like, I usually, like, don't go in with the mindset to meet new people when I go to an event. I'm usually like, oh, who do I know? How can I, like, make myself comfortable to, like, stick with them? So I feel like as a host, like, I almost expect, like, there to be, like, cross interaction. I feel like there's not going to be that much of that. Like, I think people tend to stick to, like, the groups that they know. Yeah. So that's an interesting point, though, to, like, try to, like, break out of that, like, pattern and energy. I feel like, yeah, that's a good way to introduce people to, like, other people. Yeah.
I love that, like, take two, yeah, like, mindset. Like, there's so many, like, different, you know, mindsets going into, like, as a guest attending something, and then, like, as a host, I think, yeah, it's, like, always different. So,
Yeah.
I totally understand. But also, like, the size of, like parties, too, and just, like, what you're hosting, it's, like, you know, you have, like, a lot of people, like, at your party, and so, obviously, it's much harder to, like, do that. If it's more, like, intimate settings or smaller, you know, groups of people, I think it's a little easier.
yeah.
Wait, I just thought of this question, and it's a
Tell
little
us.
blunt.
Okay.
But do you think people who host are just secretly lonely? like think about it. Like, you're like creating an event, you're inviting like a shit ton of people, and like you're like being surrounded by these people, and it creates a lot of work for you, yeah, but like at the end you're just like surrounded by your community, which is what I touched on before. But I was like thinking about it, I was like, do I just want to be around people? Is that like what's like the psychological reason why we like to host, you know? Oh.
Rebecca,
What?
are you lonely?
I don't know. I don't.
We're right here, baby.
All right, girls, let's host a banger right now. Yeah.
Wait, yeah, that's a
interesting.
really yeah, interesting thought. I think it's probably half and half. It also depends on like, I don't know if it's like behavior, like what types of parties that you're like
Oh,
super into
true,
too.
yeah.
If you like to host, this is such a like generalized, like a bunch of people, like on a Friday night, like you want like 50 plus people and like you're doing it all the
Oh.
time, then maybe it could be, or you know, it just like it really depends.
Let's psychoanalyze
Yeah.
I'm not calling out the nightlife people at all. No.
Wait, this is so funny because in my head, when you were saying your question,
Yeah.
the word that popped into my head before you said secretly lonely or something was secretly attention seekers.
Oh wait, that's
Ooh,
a good point.
tea.
Wait, see.
This year, I've really come to the acceptance that I love attention.
Hey, it's okay. It's okay, brother.
Wait,
And-
Hey.
yeah, speak your truth.
Yeah, speak your truth. Like, yeah, I love that honesty.
So-
yeah.
No, I'm with you.
I mean, hey, I mean,
what
we're
did I
here
just
for a
say?
reason. We're here for a reason. Yeah. No. Oh, I think that's a good point. Because you are the center of attention when you're a host. Yeah.
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 Your work is recognized.
Yeah.
To a certain
It really
extent,
is.
I guess. Yeah.
But like, you know, we all love going to people's hosting and hyping them up and
Yeah.
recognizing them.
Yeah.
It all just feels good.
But I will say, like, whenever I go to like a well-hosted event, I'm always like, ooh, how I'm gonna like take that inspo and like how can I make it better and like my own
I
host.
100%
Yeah.
agree. I'm like, how can I one up?
Yeah. It's just a competition.
Wait,
you know?
literally for like Valentine's Day, I'm just like, I'll like see things and I'm like, it's overdone.
Yeah.
But I think it's just like a competition with myself, honestly. Just like how can I like be more creative? And so I think that's like my kind of
Yeah.
perspective on that. Yeah.
Okay, this is like side tangent, kind of not related, but obviously we're all like pretty creative people. We like to host and stuff. Do you guys think that you are creative out of inspiration or creative out of origin? Because I've realized this year too that like when I'm handed arts and crafts with no inspo, oh my god, I will create the most horrendous looking thing ever. Like I do not know what I'm making. Even if it's just like a little kid's like jewelry bracelet, it is so ugly. It is so bad. But if I have inspo, then I can take it and like make it into something that I want. So are you guys inspo or origin?
I'm definitely inspo. Like I'm chronically online, so it's like I feel like even if I want to say it's origin, probably some facet of it is like from TikTok or Instagram or Pinterest. Yeah.
We have no original thoughts,
Yeah.
TBH.
Yeah. No original experiences either. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree too. I'm pretty much an inspo person, but yeah, learning to kind of like exercise how to make it my own is no plagiarism or whatever. Definitely.
Be honest.
Yeah.
How many of your activities were things that you saw or were inspired by online?
DIY charm, obviously online. Tattoos has always been a thing that like our apartment does just because our roommate has a tattoo printer.
Right.
I will say though, I like all the decorations pretty much inspiration. I will say the community mapping thing was an original thought. Or it wasn't like something that I saw before. It was out of like, I want something to do on that wall. What have we done in the past? How can I make it interactive? How can I build a sense of community? And how can I like have a facet of it that's applicable to people? Because for our housewarming, we did that, but it was like who's most likely to, right? And it was like
Right.
just about the roomies, but not something that people could take away for themselves, kind of.
Yeah.
So I will claim that as an original thought. But yeah, 99% of
Yeah.
things are like inspo.
But that one was good.
Yeah,
I like that
wait,
one.
Thank
really
you.
good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, most of it I think is inspo. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm obviously there's like nothing wrong with inspo because like at the end of the day, it's always like our own twists that are added onto it too, and it's like just being able to like be in it and experience it and see it and like have the camera see it. It's just
Yeah.
like so fun.
I guess another thought that I just had is like, how much of our love for hosting goes back to like, or how much of it do we do for the camera? Low-key.
Ooh.
Yeah. Because I won't lie, like especially with like aesthetics, it's like like. Are these functional at all? No, but is it like does it look good for the camera? It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So.
100% guilty of that. I think
Yeah.
like literally as a preface, like as everyone is like already, you know, accustomed to, you know, whatever's going on. I'm just like, guys, it's content time. And then we'll dig in.
Yeah.
So
You need
Yeah.
that like
Low-key
set
guilty.
like time where like all the phones are out, and then you can just
Yeah.
like do whatever you want.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you think that depends on the guest? Because like I think for us, we have a lot of friends, and we ourselves are like that. We're like we understand there's a dedicated time to like document everything, and we're very like, okay, did everyone get what they needed before diving in? But our friends that aren't necessarily like here for the content, like they're patient, so like you know they're vibing with
Yeah.
it. But like I don't know, I can imagine there are people out there or like groups out there that are, if you invited them, they'd be like
Yeah.
not vibing with, or like they'll just dig in, which is
No.
which is fine. Just like no.
Sorry, no.
Illegal.
I am very like I hate, people probably hate me for this, but like I hate it when people like don't take a photo or video before, or like start eating before the video or photo is being taken. I've actually told people. Actually, hold on. I told them,
Pause.
I told people to get up from the table so I can take my like photo or video. Like I'm just like that type of person. But it's like you put in like a lot of time and energy
Yeah.
in how it's presented. Like I want like to be
Yeah.
able to capture that and like reap the fruit of my rewards. No,
Of-
what was
Yes.
reap
what's
the
that?
benefit. Wait,
Yeah, reap
the
benefit.
fruit of your reaping.
trying to
Reap the
Where's
rewards
my
of my labor. That
There
is
you
what I was
go.
trying to say.
There you
Yes.
go.
wait,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
I feel like TBH, I have not been documenting enough things. Like every time I do stuff, like I'm actually so bad at documenting.
Really?
Yeah, because I don't know what it is. I think especially when it's hosting, you're kind of stressed about like the logistics of everything. So that's why I appreciated when you were like, get ready 30 minutes before people come so that we have time to
Yeah, take the
document
photos.
everything. Otherwise, like even when I go to other people's events and stuff, like I always want to document more, but I'm just like too in the moment where I don't want to like pick up my phone to like start recording something, because a lot of times I'll be in the middle of a conversation. How awkward would it be if I'm just like recording on the
Actually,
side?
hold that thought.
Girl thinks she can multitask, but I know I can't. Like I've come to the conclusion that I cannot multitask. I might as well just like stop my appetite for a second to like do what I need to do and then come back, because I will be saying things, but like I won't remember anything I'm saying, or
Wow.
I won't be remembering anything anyone else is saying, and I feel bad. So I'm like,
Hey, no, that's
I
good.
just-
That's good.
Right,
That you're living
yeah.
in the moment. Yeah.
But then I don't have stuff,
The
or like.
photos.
Oh, how do you feel about taking other people's content? Because I did that one time to you for Thanksgiving.
To me.
I did that to you.
I did that
but
too.
I don't know. I just feel very self-conscious about like not taking people's work, you know what I mean? Or like taking people's videos and stuff, because it's like technically that's their possession, like that's their artistic possession, because they are the ones that like filmed it.
I feel like it's fine because, like, for example, like when people take pictures of like someone's food or something, someone at the table is always like, "Oh, send those pictures to me." There doesn't need to be like 5 cameras out. So I feel
Yeah.
like under that same like concept, it's like, oh, like I'm already filming. You don't have to do the same and like take the same like angles or whatever. So,
Oh, I
yeah.
see, I see.
I think it's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's fine too. It's not like you're reposting a YouTube video or something.
Yeah, yeah.
No, it's just a click.
Literally.
It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that I want to ask you guys about is, how do you do your decor to make it sustainable? Like, low-key, do you keep everything? Do you return things? Like, how do you source things to keep up with the trends and stuff in the holidays, but also like not have to be balling out on all these things, and also storage, because like we do not have storage for all these random decorations throughout the year.
Yeah, I think in terms of like what to invest in, I think the at least tablescape things, candles, they're pretty like evergreen, like things that you can reuse all the time, and depending on like even whatever theme it might be, it's still you can, you know, find ways to utilize it or whatever and kind of have it contribute. But yeah, I think it's more about like the little accent stuff that that you like purchase, that you kind of have to be a little more like micro-strategic. I don't know if
Sarah,
that
do you
thoughts.
remember our first time hosting together, the Friendsgiving?
Yeah.
Dude, we balled out. We balled
We
out,
did.
but we ended up returning a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, guilty of that.
Yeah. Like Amazon, they make it so easy.
Way too easy.
But yeah,
You're just
like,
borrowing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's so bad. But I think where I was going with that is that, like, I think, like, after that moment, I was like, okay, if it's, like, something that we see ourselves doing a lot. Like you said, it's like, I think it's good to invest in some things. And I feel like it seems like you also adopted that mindset as well. For me, not as much, because I unfortunately don't live in a place where I feel like I can host freely, so I still haven't like got into that realm, but I can foresee myself like in the future, once I have my own place or a bigger space, I can see myself like actually like having like a lot of things to host. Yeah.
Temu is
Oh.
like my cheat code for hosting, because you can like, everything is so cheap. Honestly, if it's like little knickknacks in here and there, you don't need like high quality things either. Very seasonal things, pretty much like a bunch of random stuff that you wouldn't even think you needed as like filler and stuff is good. And then, oh, if you're in New York, you put me on this, the Fifth Ave dollar store.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's like a 6 to 10 minute walk north of Bryant Park. If you just Google dollar store and like look in that area, it's like Fifth Ave something. I might be wrong, but it is so good. It's
Yeah.
good for like those little cups that you kind of assemble, you know, like the
Martini
wine
glasses?
cups. Yeah, those. So cheap. Just like party supplies in general, because they come in so many different colors, like candles, balloons, number balloons, like the foil ones or whatever, silverware, shot glasses, normal like water cups or whatever. Also just so many different colors. So like any theme you need, napkins, like, yeah, so like those things I always get there because it's so cheap. And like those are things that if it's like a bigger party, disposable is like maybe better, even if it's not as sustainable. But yeah,
Yeah.
Temu and Fifth Ave dollar store.
Wait, yeah, you're putting me on. I think, like in addition to that, kind of like Five Below, Costco, even Amazon. Honestly,
Oh,
like to
Costco,
round
yeah.
back, yeah,
Yeah.
Amazon, they have like good sets of things where like
Oh,
for a little bit
yeah.
cheaper, and you can like use that for like quite a while.
Totally, yeah.
I think like the ultimate final boss is to buy like not disposable items, but like permanent items or like,
like
real
china.
like, yeah, like glassware.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine having like 30 shot glasses just for
Oh my
guests.
gosh,
Oh,
it's crazy.
yeah.
That is crazy. But yeah, in the end, like if you think you're someone who will end up hosting for the rest of your life, obviously it's good to invest. But once you probably move and like have a house of your own.
Yeah. Guys, I can't wait to go to your houses for events
In the future.
Yeah, when we have
Excited.
more money.
Oh
and can-
yeah.
A backyard.
Backyard.
Oh my
Ooh,
gosh.
the barbecue grill.
The fairy lights out there.
Oh my
Ooh.
god, that's such a vibe.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
What's like a future idea that you have? Unless you don't want to share,
Ooh.
but
Oh, we can share.
Oh, yeah.
I won't gatekeep.
Something with like you have unlimited budget, or like you can invite anybody. Do you have?
yeah, or like a theme or like
My
something that you
wedding?
wanna-
I'm kidding.
How often?
I'm actually how often?
That's
a crazy
My first
question.
wedding, actually.
Oh, I was gonna say, how often do you
Oh.
think about your wedding?
Oh, I thought you were just like, how often
do you think you'll get married?
Are you gonna have a wedding? I'm like, maybe once a year.
Yeah.
Ooh. Well, recently, like more, just because not out of actually having a wedding, but more so out of just like the excitement of hosting and planning something.
I've started saving like wedding TikToks for like my
Aw.
future wedding. Yeah.
God, yeah.
How about you?
See, I think about it often, like Roman Empire often, but I don't think about like my dress or like the little things for
Oh,
myself. I
yeah.
always am thinking about like how can I entertain my guests?
Yes,
right.
yes.
I want
Yeah.
a DJ. I want like a DIY like mini little whatever.
Oh my God,
yeah.
yes.
Think about that often.
Yeah,
Which
that's
is
so true.
weird.
I had no idea what dress I want. Like,
Wait.
no idea what style, hair. Like, I have no
Florals,
idea.
I don't know.
I
Like
have-
No, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm only thinking like the colors and like the destination
Yeah.
and like the decorations.
Yes. And the layout of things
yeah.
and seating and
Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
Oh, and the invitation. Oh, my god. And like, what am I
Yeah.
gonna put in my bride's
Oh my gosh.
maids packages?
all the time. Yeah.
Yo, wedding is just like the ultimate like final boss of hosting. Yeah.
Oh, that would be so fun.
Gets me excited. Yeah, I think it just comes back to really valuing like your community and just like building that like experience for them too.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I think that's something that as hosts it's easier to appreciate because you know how much goes on in it. And I guess like I hope that like our friends and people that like come can also really appreciate that like this is for like there's actually so much like time, energy, monetary value that like we invest into these things, and it's like
Yeah.
all resources that we're very willing to give because like that's kind of our friend love language in a way.
I feel like it goes along with like acts of service, okay?
Yeah.
I think having hosted, like, you know, on several occasions for different things, coming as a guest, I think, yeah, I've definitely learned to, like, appreciate that, like, all these little details, like, they're very thoughtful.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Same, yeah. Back to the wedding planning. Would you guys plan your own weddings or would you hire someone?
Oh, I definitely think I would hire someone, but it would be someone who is okay with me being very hands-on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm low-key micromanager.
Yeah, I'm like type A over here. Like,
Yeah, I can't help it. But yeah, I mean, like having someone to kind of like guide the vision, and then you just kind of being able to put like your input.
Yeah.
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 And like having that person actually like execute the
Mhm.
things would be super helpful.
I feel like if I were to plan my own wedding, I'd literally be stressed for an entire year. I would know
Yeah.
no rest.
I think I would have to, like, that would be my full-time job.
Yeah, I'd have to quit.
Yeah.
Overstimulation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would be planning, like, for maybe a year or two.
Yeah.
If I do my own wedding.
It's like 2035.
Help, I'm just
It's
still
a 5-year plan. Yeah.
Okay, one of my last questions is Partyful. Okay, is this a controversial question? I know a lot of people love just like throwing everything in Partyful, but do you think there's a time when Partyful is necessary versus a time when it shouldn't be a Partyful and should be like a group chat?
Bro, if it's like less than 5 people, I'm like, guys, do we need a party full for that? But like some people just like the concept of party full, so
Yeah.
like I'll go with it. But yeah, I definitely don't think we need party fulls for less than 5 people.
Yeah, definitely not necessary. I think the only reason I would use it for like hostings is if I just want like central communication and I'm just like,
Yeah.
hey, like this one text blast here, like the details, rather than like individually sending out
Yeah.
whatever.
Or like
Unless it is,
spamming
like-
a group chat or
Mhm.
something.
Yeah, unless it's like a friend group, then that's like
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If there's not already a group chat for the
Oh,
event,
true.
Mhm.
then I think a party full is warranted.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially if it's like a couple different people from different parts of
Yeah.
your life or something. It's just-
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear Apple Events? The app?
I've
It's
heard
very
of
recent.
It. It's just like it's party full,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So I wonder if there's gonna be a switch.
Oh.
What's the context?
Yeah. What's the?
I haven't like downloaded it, but it's basically like Apple's version of Partyful. But I don't know what other like features they have.
I don't
But it's
know.
Apple, and I'm an Apple ho, so.
Oh my god, we love
Oh,
Apple.
but party full is like OG.
It is, yeah. And like all of our history's in there.
Yeah. Oh. Do you guys get like a rush or like a high when you see like the number of events that you've attended?
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah, it's
definitely
so
a little-
bad.
That's
Yeah.
why you use Partyful.
Yeah. And you're just like looking at other people and you're like, only 3 events attended, huh?
She's only hosted one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always so fun, like making the party full. And it's just that rush of like the dopamine hit of sending it out. And then like, oh my God, when people are like responding and you're just like,
Oh, yeah,
what did you
yeah,
say?
yeah. The notifications too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I downloaded the Partyful app until this year, but after I got that app,
Oh.
low-key it's become like my like 5th social media app,
Yeah,
like, used.
yeah.
Yeah. I like go on the app just to like look. Yeah.
Yeah, and somehow there were so many dang notifications. And I go and I'm like, what are these notifications from? Like, I'm not hosting anything
Yeah, yeah,
soon.
yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
just like random people.
Like responding yes
Yeah.
or no.
Yeah, exactly. I think the concept is really cool though. I mean, even before coming here, I was like, oh, I didn't even know like it existed.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty efficient though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it
it was
is.
always like Facebook events or like this Facebook group things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like all the senior open houses were like
It was
through
on
Facebook.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you just unlocked a memory. Wow. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. My last piece about hosting is I listened to this podcast about hosting. I think I like told you about this like a year ago when I like actually
Oh my
listened to
gosh.
it. But that's what kind of like changed part of my brain chemistry when it came to hosting because I had never thought about it so intentionally before. But basically, the podcast was saying, I mean, obviously, there's different degrees of hosting. You can host like however, but like one way that she was like talking about is to be super intentional about hosting. Like, there's all the little details that come with it. Even from the moment that you send out that invite, it's putting into people's brains like a certain vibe, a certain expectation that they should expect when they come, an expectation for like how they should come, whether it's attire, whether it's attitude, whether it's like what vibe they are bringing and what vibe they should expect. And then that's like from the first invite. And then there's like follow-up stuff too that like kind of curate the expectation. So even sending a blast and saying something like, for example, or like our housewarming, since it was 4 people and like people from different corners of our lives, so we anticipate people like not knowing each other. So I was very specific about in the invitation saying like be ready to mingle and stuff like that, just so like people had an idea that like, okay, I'm gonna come here and expect to like meet new people, and that way like hopefully it would help break the groups up a little more, and hopefully make it less intimidating because they already know that that's happening. It could go both ways. It could be more intimidating if you know that's happening too. But she was also saying like even in curating your guest list, you can make something super intentional and meaningful and memorable. Her example was somebody had a 40th birthday party or something, and they wanted to invite people that they were really like inspired by throughout their life or something like that, and they asked them to bring a story from a time when they were inspired by someone. So it's like, you know, asking them to bring something, quote unquote, whether that's a story or if it's like, her other example included like bringing some kind of wine that they liked, because or it was like bring an unfinished bottle of, or an open bottle of wine, and then like tell us a story of like why it's unfinished, or like where it came from, where you got it from, or something like that. Just little things like that can make it really intentional.
I feel like oftentimes like people just like throw people in a room and then like have food and drinks and like hope for the best, but I think it's like what differentiates a good host versus a great host is a great host will make sure that like something meaningful is taken out of that experience of that event. And I think oftentimes I'm guilty of like overlooking the small details, but I think that's like a really good point. It's just like trying to hone in on the details a little bit more and make sure that it is like a guest-centered event. Yeah.
That's the small things.
It is the small things.
It is. Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think it's always nice and kind of rewarding, and you kind of know if like the guests did really like take something out of it when they, you know, come to you and are like, hey, like I remember that, like, you know, I really had a lot of fun at like this, you know, event that you like hosted or whatever. Or just like, oh, like I really like when you did this. I think that's like a good sign to know that it really did, you know, kind of leave a little something,
little imprint. Do you guys have any last thoughts or questions?
If you guys have any ideas for a 25th birthday in New York City.
Ooh, girl, it's a quarter.
Oh my gosh,
I know.
yeah.
After my birthday party last year, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna do something chill. But now I'm like, oh, I'm turning 25. I need to not be chill. I'll be chill next year after 25.
is
Yeah.
Right before the frontal lobe.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
that's true. I
Gotta
need to
go, like,
celebrate
all
that.
That's so exciting. Same.
Yeah.
The end of the quarter.
It'll be fun. You have time.
Yeah.
Think on it.
Yeah. Currently, aside from corporate, I'm aspiring to be influencer, and if that doesn't work out, we're gonna be hosting like as a living.
Same track,
Plan
girl.
C,
Same track.
yeah.
we have plans.
And then maybe a stripper at the end.
yeah.
Yeah, catch all of us probably just hosting be event planners like in 5 years.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would love for that to be a side hustle.
Yeah.
Event planning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know a couple of people in the city who are also doing like little side gigs like that. And I think, yeah, it's
Oh.
super fun.
That's so cool,
Really?
yeah. Like for me, I'm totally fine going all out. Like I feel excited hosting for myself, but the second I'm like hosting for someone else, there's so much pressure. Like, what if there's a typo? What if there's a mistake? You know what I mean? Like, obviously I try not to do that for myself, but there's just more pressure, and like you're getting paid to do
Yeah.
that. So, and then it's like I know my vibe, but like, how do I like
Their
scrape
vibe.
their vibe? Like, how do I really extract their brain and put it in mine?
Yeah.
You know, we'll get there. I think that is all for this episode, you guys. Thank you, Sharon and Rebecca, again for joining us today. I had a lot of fun
yeah.
talking about this.
I love yapping.
There's a lot of intricacies to hosting.
Yeah,
and
who
it's
knew?
cool to dive in it.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like I learned a lot, and I think it was good to talk to you guys about it, because honestly, I don't think we've talked about it to that extent.
Specifically, yeah.
What? To this extent? It was not
Lots
English.
of layers.
So
Yeah.
many, all the layers peeled back, and I feel like there's so much more too. But I hope you guys found this entertaining or insightful, or learned something about hosting if you don't already host yourselves, or maybe are inspired to host something. But if you guys have any other questions, feel free to drop them below. We can continue the conversation as always. With that, TTYL.